Hello, and welcome to Let's Sip and Talk with Freema. Today we have Cal Casey on. He's going to share his journey with us. He is a former NBA player, a model, and he was actually a graduate from Harvard University. So he's just going to share his journey. Again, these interviews, these talks are for motivation, so you guys can get the oomph our children, our younger generation need to let them know that, hey, you too can do it. Can you guys hear me well? Somebody give me a thumbs up, let me know. All right, great. So let's see. Hello, Melvin, how are you doing on this good Sunday? All right, so we'll just wait for him to come on so we can go ahead and add him on and share, let him share some of his good deeds with us, his journey, the good, the bad, the ugly. So let's see. Did anyone cook dinner today on this good Sunday? Y'all ready for the work week? I think I am. I don't know. I have no choice but to be, right? Hello.
How are you?
I'm fine. How are you?
I'm doing well.
That's good. That's good. First and foremost, I thank you so much for coming on Let's Sip and Talk with Freema. Just to, share your journey, give us a little feedback, a little motivation, especially with everything that's going on in the world today.
hmm
So, Mr. Cal, tell us a little about yourself.
so my name's Kyle Casey. For those of you that don't know, I was born in Bremerton, Washington, on a Navy base actually, but ended up growing up the majority of my life in Louisiana and Massachusetts, which are, two very different environments. And
Okay.
so, Louisiana had a big effect on my life just coming up. Just mostly black community, being raised down south, a lot of racism, a lot of just going through things at a young age that most
Right.
people shouldn't go through and things like that. And then moving up to Boston, I moved to the suburbs of Massachusetts. So it was like,
Okay. So,
yeah,
like,
it was like I moved up, I saw like, cows and horses grazing, and it was like moving to China for me. So, just at a young age, I feel like I was exposed to two very different cultures that made me want to explore more. And
okay.
just, kind of, I saw more than what most people growing up in Louisiana saw already just because I moved. So, um,
So, how would you say that affected you, in your life today, as far
me
as
in my
being
life,
able to
just
see more
I
details?
would say an appreciation for society. And I know that's kind of hard to say in times like this, but just in terms of just like having the ability to see more of the world, just because like throughout my life I've been around the world, multiple times at this point. So
Right.
I think that was sparked at a young. That's probably one of the biggest things about why I would even start my story like that, because um, I feel like I'm a very like worldly person in terms of like just trying to explore, and being open to different ideas and things like that as well. So, but fast forward to Massachusetts, kind of grew up in a very suburban town, wanted to kind of, get back to a little bit of my culture.
Hmm.
And so, found my way into the city of Boston, and started playing basketball at a very young age. I was a pretty successful basketball player.
Okay.
In high school, I was, probably top 150 in my class or so. Played on a really good team. We traveled every weekend, and traveling every weekend, we were sponsored. Had the Nike sponsorship and like things like that. When you're exposed to that at a young age, and you're working really hard, coming from where I come from, it's just like it just gives you more hunger, more motivation to
Right.
keep building. And I would say like the biggest part of my story is like choosing where to go to college. That
And that's
was
what I
that
wanted to
was big for
ask.
me, and
Hmm.
that was that was crazy because you're young, and you're very successful and everything like that, so you think you're the man. You're not really humbled when you're, but for real, you're not really humbled when you're 16, 17, when you're making these big life decisions. And
Right.
I would say one of the biggest things for me was just being blessed with a circle around me to help me just embrace the bigger picture. And so that was great for me. Them holding me up, them being able to just say, like, calm down. You're good, but you're not all that. Just bring you
Mm-hmm.
back down to earth. And so I ended up going to Harvard,
Okay.
which for me was like the last school I would go to, honestly.
Really? Why would you
Yeah.
say that? What?
I was always smart. I had really good grades. I always wanted to get a good education in college,
Mm-hmm.
but like I hooped. And coming from just my generation, like the most frequent question I got was, do they have a team? Like, you know what I
Right.
mean? And like that's the same thing I was saying when they called me. And I remember the first time they called me, I laughed them off the phone almost. Like just
Wow.
like I was standing right next to one of my best friends in high school. His name's Derek Ritos, and I was like, "Yo, guess who just called me, bro? Just like Harvard. Like I'm not going there. Like I want to go to play basketball, you know." But
Right.
um, honestly, the head coach there, he was really good. A black guy. His name's Tommy Amacker.
Okay.
Harvard was not in the tournament or really known or anything. Since like 1946 or something before we went
Wow.
there, and he had come there and he just had a vision of building Harvard to, I mean, essentially what we kind of ascended to present day basketball, which is Harvard basketball. But we he had a vision of that, and he had me as a centerpiece to that, not the centerpiece, but a crucial part of that. And
Mm-hmm.
like I said, like I had my mind set on bigger basketball schools, and it was my circle that really just made me humble myself and see it for what it was, which is, a great life opportunity,
Right.
and a chance to do something different that, most black men don't get a chance to be
Right.
honest.
Absolutely.
And like, when you take a step back, you look at the bigger picture, you look at who's presenting it to you and how much they believe in it, and how much they want you to be a part of something they believe in so much.
Right.
That's powerful. And then like when, like, I don't know when it is, but like when it hits you as a 16, 17-year-old, you're like, oh yeah, I gotta go. Like you gotta go and do that. Like it's something that you
Wow.
wanna like embrace and see where that journey takes you. So for me, I think that
Absolutely.
was like a great decision for me in my life. Just coming from, I say, like I made it from the hood to Harvard pretty much. So that's
Okay.
like that's like a blessing. And so
That's
like
amazing.
when you take all that and then like you go there and then like you manifest exactly what you guys say you were going to do. Like I came in with a bunch of guys, but like I ended up being on one of the first all black starting lineups in Ivy League history.
Oh, wow.
We like broke records at Harvard, and I mean, I know we're talking about Harvard, but to be one of the first to do something at Harvard is
Right. That's
something
that's
in this world.
awesome.
Yeah, we get a lot of love from alumni just for like coming in there and doing what we set out to do. So, um, I mean, just in terms of my story, I would say that's just been a big key for me, is just always just staying true to who I am and staying the course.
Right.
I mean, I went through a lot as I briefly said, I grew up in Louisiana, this and that, but like
Mm-hmm.
there's a lot that goes on just growing up in such different environments, coming up here and speaking different, and then being the only,
Right.
like one of the handful of black people that has a thick, thick, thick Southern accent in a white suburban Boston town. Like there's a
Right.
lot of things that you just deal with on the everyday, just surface level, let alone just
Right.
internalizing as a young black boy, as a male in general, just as a kid in general. And there's different levels and aspects to how you have to process just going through life. And
Mm-hmm.
I think it was a blessing for me really to just have a wide range of experiences, and
Right.
it's an interest to Now that I've become a professional and I've literally traveled the world. I've played in
Mhm.
China and Japan and Europe
Wow.
and all over the world, in Israel. So
Oh,
I've really
wow.
been all over the world and gotten to see a lot of cool places and like had a different level of appreciation for just being able to exist in a place like that, let
Right.
alone do something that I love, let alone do something I love and get paid to do it. And,
Exactly.
like it's just a lot of levels of appreciation that like if you really sit back and look at the bigger picture, like you might have some road bumps, but overall you're in an uptrend. So
Absolutely. How did
mhm.
you, as a young age, how did you stay grounded? How did you stay on a straight path? You wanted to hoop. You wanted to play basketball. How did you keep your mindset there? Because a lot of
um
people stray away.
I mean, I'm not gonna say I didn't stray at any point. I mean, everyone, I don't, maybe not everyone, but a lot of people lose sight of what and why they're doing things. But in high school, I was just really focused on
Hmm.
just making it D1,
Right.
making it to a good school. So that was a little bit easier. And in terms of just like being young and dumb, everyone makes their mistakes. So I had
Right.
to, I
Right.
had to, learn some tough lessons at a young age. But um, something that my coach, it's probably two things that my coach said to me when he first started recruiting me. The very first time I ever met my college coach, I was still in high school.
Mhm.
He was like, "Hi, I'm Coach Amacker." He went down like two or three sentences, and the first thing, real thing, he said, "I don't drink, I don't smoke, but I'll curse your ass out." He was like, "I'm gonna keep it real with you. I'm gonna push you. I'm gonna get the best out of you. It might be uncomfortable, but you're gonna get comfortable being
Right.
uncomfortable, and it's gonna make you great." So it's gonna, that really stuck with me. And then something else he used to always say was, "You got to do everything with a passion and a purpose." And
Right.
I mean, he had a million different idioms that he used, but like there's certain things that certain people say to you throughout your life that stick with you,
That
and like
sticks with you.
yeah, and I mean it's just like things like that. The just watching my mom and her drive throughout life, and just supporting us and my brothers, like just things that you stick with that are the fundamental core of who you are. Um,
Right.
and I think those are the type of things that kind of like shine through in all aspects of your life. So
Right.
um,
How
I
did
think
mom feel when Harvard called? Even though you laughed at it, how did mom feel about that
oh,
call?
she was happy. She was happy for sure. But it took a good battle to get me to say yes. But
Really?
yeah, yeah. But she was definitely happy. But I mean, I had a very good list of academic schools, so um, I think she would have been already either way. But she was definitely happy that Harvard called.
Well, that's good. So I
Hmm.
have to ask you, Cal. So after college
Hmm.
and NBA come about, like how does all that work? Like, do you get a phone call from like you got a phone call from the coach at Harvard? Like, how does that work? And how did you feel about all that?
It was good. I mean, I'd been dreaming about trying to get there my whole life. So, just when I got the opportunity, my played summer league for the Brooklyn Nets, and ended up getting cut. I played overseas that year, and then the following year, I went to training camp and made it on the Suns for a little bit. So that was a great experience. That was a dream come true. Just being blessed and able to get my foot in the door at least.
Right.
And I think I've had a very successful career. I didn't stick in the NBA like I wanted to, but like all the hard work you put in, all the hours in the gym, all the sacrifices your parents make, the flights, the bus ride, the
Right.
van rides, the time with your boy in the locker room, and like all that, you appreciate it all when you like reach another summit of where you're going. So,
Absolutely.
um, just kind of the look back and realize the journey that you've come from, and like remembering those like kid stories about going and playing at the park, and when you first
Exactly.
learned how to dribble, and like having your eyes closed while your older brother just directed you with his voice walking around the block and stuff like that. Now to
Wow.
to getting to this level, and it's like, who would have thought? But like you think about it and you're like, you thought it, and you know what I mean, like you definitely had help, but like you did it. So
Right.
it's just a feeling of accomplishment that, you know, you should cherish.
Okay. And I know a little bit of modeling going on, Cal.
Yeah, so I mean, I like to entertain, so like I really want to act. I started just trying to build my portfolio, doing some modeling, and I really want to start to, like, you know, get on screen, do some films and stuff like that. I could really
Okay.
see myself doing that in the future. I've been putting on some time into it, but you know, coronavirus has kind of put everything on hold
Yeah.
right now. So we're working on it though. You know, there's always life after basketball, and you want to always
Right.
continue to, you know, progress in life and do different things and try different things. So
Absolutely.
definitely working on it, keeping an open mind to all kinds of things, but definitely could see, you know, me on the big screen someday.
Right, right. I can
Hmm.
see it too. If you don't mind me asking, Cal, how tall are you? I'm just
6'8".
curious. 6'8".
Hmm.
Wow. That's small. Well, I would have never
Yeah, yeah.
guessed. Woo. Okay,
Six
so
eight.
when did you get your growth spurt? Were you in like high school
I
or middle
don't know.
school?
I really think, I don't know. I think I came out the womb just kind of tall and steady, grew.
Oh
I was a
wow.
pretty, I wasn't a grand baby, but I was a pretty big baby, and I just kept growing. Really, I don't think I ever like shot up like 5 inches
Right.
in
It
a
just was
year or
a
anything like that. I was just always one of the bigger people around, you know. So,
oh wow.
hmm so
I just had to
my
ask. I
mom
was
used to
curious
tell
to
us
know.
stories about my mom used to tell me stories about how like my older brother would just like dominate me, but like I just never realized I was just as big as him, even though I was like 2 years
Right.
younger than him. But so yeah.
Right. That's how my kids are. My
Hmm.
middle son is about as tall as my oldest son. So you can't
Yeah.
bully them. You can't beat them up.
Can't bully him once they figure it out. Once they figure it out.
Oh, wow. So, what would you tell our younger generation that may not have the oomph you had? Ooh, I'm so country, Cal. May not have the oomph you had, you know, to keep striving for greater and keep going. So, what motivation would you give them?
I mean, honestly, I would tell this young generation to band together. I know like you all have your individual goals and everything. Everyone does, but like in times like this, my biggest message would just be to band together, because like we as a generation, we as a society, we as a culture, like you can say whatever word you want for it. We've been doing things the same way for a very long time, and it applies to everything I just said. So just unite and do something, like I said, with a passion and a purpose, and get shit done. Like do it a different way that's going to be progressive, that's going to actually take us to another level, or like just a different realm of thinking or operating, or whatever that may be, whatever, you know, you feel your calling is, do it, but do it positively. And like we don't need to like when we're at a point where our parents and grandparents are like, I don't want to be, I don't want to have someone my age saying to the younger generation, do something differently that's gonna get things to change. So I mean, I really think, especially with in today's age, like this is the most progressive, media-driven, internet, instant information
Right.
society that the world has ever seen. And so, if you want to do something, I mean, there's free platforms,
There's your
Facebook Live,
platforms.
Instagram Live, Zoom, that like you can do it on anything. You can get your
Right.
message out there. So like whatever your message is, like I know like BML right now like is huge. And how do you think we're all banding together and stuff? Like IG
Right.
is a huge piece of that.
Absolutely.
Twitter is a huge piece of that. And so I would say just stick together. And fight the fight that you want with a pure and good and good, a pure heart and good intentions, you know.
Right, right, right. Absolutely, Cal. I really appreciate you sharing everything with us, giving us motivation, being pure, honest, So I really appreciate all that. Is there I don't want to keep you because I know it's Sunday, probably a relaxed day for you
It's
or
all
what have
good.
you. Is there anything else you would want to share with us or anything before we
Um,
adjourn?
I mean, not really. I just wait, I hope you guys like the message. I hope you guys are all safe in these crazy times, honestly. Um, I hope, don't make any rash decisions or anything. It's tough times for everyone, whether it's, mentally, financially, physically with jobs and all that stuff. So just stay positive. Just know that everyone has something that they're going through. So, your pain is real, but it's also relative. So,
Right,
um,
right.
so just keep that in mind as you're succeeding or struggling through life, especially during these times. And peace and love.
All right. I
Hmm.
appreciate you so much, Kyle. Thank you so much for joining us. You rock. You're amazing. Keep up the great work. And thank you so
Absolutely,
much.
absolutely. Follow me on IG,
Y'all hear him?
KKC30.
KKC30 on IG. That's Instagram for y'all who know what the IG is. Instagram KC30. We appreciate you so much.
All right, y'all be easy.
All right. You too. And peace and love, everyone. Bye bye.